The first real test of the Formula 1 2024 season will start this weekend at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and a lot of eyes are set on Mercedes. Were they sandbagging during pre-season testing? And what are the secrets of the W15 that the rivals will have to look out for? Both Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have stated that the W15 is a smoother, more stable drive than what they have been working with since 2022. The unstable and unpredictable rear end in particular appears to have been tamed, which was a key aspect of the new car's brief. Compared to last year's car, the feedback from the drivers is very different and more positive, which is encouraging. Mercedes trackside engineering chief Andrew Chauvelin explained. The team has worked hard to iron out the handling flaws that were integral to the W14, and it's great that we seem to have put a number of those problems behind us. One of the most prominent elements of Mercedes' 2024 Challenger, the W15, is a cockpit position that is approximately 10 centimeters farther back than in the preceding cars. This has been made possible by a shorter and somewhat taller fuel tank located behind the cockpit. Although this will have increased the center of gravity height, particularly on full tanks, the 2022-23 cars had a lower and longer fuel tank, which helped keep the center of gravity lower. There are other benefits that outweigh this in the overall set of compromises required in the design of any racing car. It should also be noted that, while the cockpit is 10 centimeters farther back, the fuel tank is not exactly 10 centimeters shorter, and part of the space necessary to allow the relocated cockpit has been produced by a shorter gearbox housing inside the same wheelbase. Although Lewis Hamilton was passionate last year about how the cockpit arrangement of the W13 and W14 did not provide him a strong sense of what the back of the car was doing, the primary rationale for the modification was aerodynamic. A crucial aspect in the previously forward-sighted cockpit was getting the exposed upper side impact bar, also known as the SIS bar, as far forward as feasible, since the aerodynamic sheath around it was utilized to energize the airflow downward and along the floor edges. This redirection required to occur as far forward as feasible for optimal effect. The way the dimensions criteria were established also permitted the SIS bar to reach more outwardly in that area of the car than it would have if situated further back. That method has now been abandoned, and the top SIS bar is now hidden within the bodywork rather than exposed. However, the loss of aerodynamic aid can be believed to have been more than offset by benefits elsewhere. There are at least two possible aerodynamic advantages to shifting the cockpit backwards. For starters, the additional distance between the front wheels and side pods improves control over the front wheel's wake. Airflow is hesitant to make severe angle direction changes. Therefore, the longer distance between the wheels and the side pods allows for a smoother angle. Second, the increased volume behind the front wing, that is, between the front wing and the side pods, provides a lower pressure, which effectively draws the airflow over the front wing quicker, working the wing more. Despite being substantially further back, the W15's cockpit is still more forward than that of the three most recent Red Bulls. As always, there is a trade-off to be made, and Mercedes and Red Bull have opted to strike that compromise in slightly different ways. The theoretical downside of using a shorter gearbox to enable cockpit location and fuel tank packing, as Red Bull did, is that the floor must be shorter. In principle, the larger the floor area, the more downforce it can generate. This must be balanced against the stronger airflow supply from the cockpit's rearward-facing front wheels. These decisions will have been made based on how each team chooses to construct its aerodynamic map, or how it intends to distribute downforce across the different speeds, ride heights, and yaw angles that the car will encounter. There is also some compromise, especially when mechanical bouncing is included. As said, the most visible alterations undertaken to solve the previous car's shortcomings are the considerably different bodywork, geometry, and a cockpit that has been repositioned further back. However, the main improvements are in how the car's aerodynamic characteristics have been specified, as technical director James Allison noted. He stated that fast cars had strong conceptual foundations. What determines whether or not the thing works is your belief in its ability to provide lap time. Downforce will bring me lap time. Okay, where? Do you want downforce at 80mm ride height, or do you want downforce at 30mm? You want the car to be good in crosswinds. Okay, but is that one deg crosswind 15 degrees? How much importance are you going to give to 15 degrees versus 5 versus 0? These are all conceptual choices, not concepts as in side pod concept, but much deeper conceptual choices about what you choose to place value upon. Once you set out your stall for what you place value on, where is the treasure buried? Your factory, The efficiency of the factory will dig that out of the ground for you, but only if you are looking in the right places. To aid in the search for that treasure, and particularly to provide more sympathetic aerodynamic assistance to the car's rear, the rear suspension has been converted from a pull rod layout to a push rod layout, which has moved the suspension rockers up, allowing the aerodynamicists to work with a larger volume of airflow. Another element that aids in the quest for greater airflow to the rear of the car is the clever front wing design, which has the top piece chopped away on the inboard side. Not only has this produced a space through which to drive wind to the rear, but the exposed inner edge of the top flap will generate a vortex due to pressure differences between the horizontal and vertical surfaces. This vortex will accelerate the flow through the gap towards the back of the car. It may also be useful in providing a greater outwash of air around the front tyre. Although the requirements require that the flaps adhere to the nose, Mercedes has rendered the part flap lawful by connecting it with a thin strip and classifying this strip as part of the top element. It is completely legal according to the text of the laws, but promoting more outwash goes against the goals of these regulations, which are to create a more pleasant wake to make the cars raceable. That is unlikely to prevent other teams from thoroughly researching this remarkable breakthrough. At Mercedes, there is now a race against time to better comprehend the car's many diverse features and so fully realise its promise. Over the course of the test, we've made good steps on our understanding of the car, said Russell. The task of the next few days is to pick through the results and put together the best package to take into the race weekend. It's never easy to make predictions on pace from testing, as all teams are quite effective at hiding their pace when they want to. It's clear that we are in a much better position than 12 months ago though. We've got a busy few days ahead now making our final preparations for the season opener. While Mercedes waits to see where they will fall behind Red Bull in the pecking order, team head Toto Wolff provided a good assessment of testing, with the W15 proving significantly better to drive and, critically, matching their statistics. On the eve of the F1 2024 season start in Bahrain, Wolff claimed that Hamilton and Russell are much happier with the balance of the W15, while this challenger is on course to perform what Mercedes calculations predicted, which was another puzzling problem with the 2022-23 cars. A new season brings new opportunity, and it's exciting to be heading into a new campaign with all the drama it will inevitably bring, said Wolff. Each of the last 2 seasons we've headed to the first race of the year on the back foot. There was inherent goodness in the W13 and W14, but it often proved too difficult to unlock. They were inconsistent machines. Our main aim going into 2024 therefore was clear. Create a consistent and stable platform, a car that would react as we expected, one that the drivers could consistently push, and one that we can develop throughout the year in the knowledge that we are bringing real-world performance to the track. Over these first 2 races, we will get a much better understanding of the job we have done. After pre-season testing though, we can draw some initial conclusions. The drivers are much happier with the overall balance. The basic platform is working as we expected. The correlation to our simulations looks to be accurate. This is all encouraging. It's a good foundation that we can build on. So, can we expect Mercedes to be up at the front this weekend? Will the complete car overhaul in combination with the smart upgrades make them race win contenders? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.